Good afternoon. Good to have you with us here for the news at 1 o'clock. We've got a developing story right now.
That's right. More legal trouble for the Fullerton Police Department. This is the KTLA News at 1 o'clock. I'm Leila Feinstein. And right now, this time it involves allegations of excessive force on the wrong man. And the incident is all caught on tape.
David Begnaud live right now with the very latest on this story. David, what's happening?
Chris, exclusively here last night at 10 o'clock, you heard from the man at the center of this lawsuit. Now today, the lawsuit has been filed. Veth Mam, he's the guy who was using his cell phone to record his friend being arrested last year. Well, he was roughed up by a Fullerton police officer. It was all caught on video, and today he is and his attorney at a news conference about an hour and a half ago to announce the filing of a federal lawsuit. To the video now, cameras were there as Mardirossian, a man with a track record of winning big bucks when it comes to police brutality, and Veth Mam, the plaintiff in this case, a 35-year-old Cambodian man, seated at the table as they announced the filing of a lawsuit alleging civil rights violations by at least 4 Fullerton police officers. They're not only suing the police officers individually, they are also suing the police chief. Why? Because Mr. Mam is alleging that when he videoed that incident, at least one officer named in the lawsuit as Kenton Hampton came up to him, slapped the phone out of his hand. That's when his friend picked up the phone and continued to record what happened next, when Officer Hampton is seen on the video grabbing Mr. Mam, throwing him to the left, throwing him to the right, then arresting him for no apparent reason. Back out here live, come with me here. We have blown-up size police reports here. I want to show you the investigating officer, what he noted. Look at the bottom right here. He notes that Mr. Mam allegedly grabbed behind me and then grabbed me around the neck in an attempt to strangle me. There's one problem. Mr. Mam is never seen in the video as doing that. Then look at Officer Hampton's report. Entirely written by him. Officer Hampton, that man seen in the video, not one mention of the physical force he used on Mr. Mam is ever mentioned in his police report. Here now the attorney, Mardirossian. We're preparing that tape right now. You're going to hear from him. I believe we're queuing that up. But he talks about how there is no mention of Mr. Mam ever in the police report. So if that officer actually used physical force, why didn't he mention it right here? Listen.
And you don't see a single word about what he did to Mam. You don't see him slapping the camera out of his hand. You don't see him throwing Mr. Mam to the ground, kneeing him in the back. You don't see him arresting him. None of that. It's all buried.
Wants to grab me down and just slam me around. I was scared. I mean, what can I do?
Mr. Mam was thrown to the ground. Then he was thrown in jail, only to be acquitted 8 months later by a jury on all charges. Here's a list of the people named in the federal filing of the lawsuit. First among them, Chief Mike Sellers, the Fullerton police chief, who this afternoon is on medical leave, as well as the other officers, Kenton Hampton and others at the scene that day, now being accused of violating Mr. Mam's civil rights. We're going to have much more on this developing story coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. More from the attorney, more from Mr. Mam, and more details from inside that federal lawsuit. We are live in Beverly Hills this afternoon. I'm David Begnaud, KTLA 5 News.
David, thank you for all those details.